Hello and welcome to the RYLACast, the official podcast of Camp RYLA, Rotary District 5810. My name is Greg Tepper. My co-host today, I guess you're my co-host every day. I don't know why I'm just specifying that it's also today, is the man they call Josey, Andrew Josey Utz. We've never had another co-host on the show, so
thank you, Greg. Happy to be here today. Thank you for choosing me.
I guess we're getting notes from the executives about whether or not this podcast is going well. This is the RYLAcast, the official podcast of Camp RYLA, Rotary District 5810. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Coming up here in just a little bit, we've got a great interview with Kristen Helmberger, live on tape from Los Angeles. You know what they call that? They call it the City of Angels.
Live on tape. Sorry, I got hung up. Live on tape from the City of Angels.
Well, it's kind of true.
That is true.
All those things are true. Okay. I guess we can pull back the curtain a little bit. We're recording this in the middle of March. My question for you, and this is one of those questions that I'm doing for the sake of I'm only asking it because I know the answer, but for the sake of the podcast, have you gotten a COVID-19 vaccine yet?
I have.
Wow.
Have you?
I have. I've got at this point I'm between shots. I got my first one. I got a little bit of the sore arm and stuff like that. But obviously it's a positive thing. My wife is a teacher, and so she got one as well. And Joni works in the medical field, right?
Right. So
she was like front of the line. She was like pushing everybody out of the way and just throwing her arm in front of a nurse, right?
Right. Yeah. If anyone knows Joni, they know that she's throwing punches to get to the front.
Okay. And I do not mean to make this political because it's not political. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I think is interesting is recently the president said that he opened up the types. Did you see this? Did you hear about this, Kev? The types of people who can give vaccinations, who can vaccinate.
I did.
So it used to be, obviously, like, for example, my shot was given to me by it looked like it was an EMT. It was a guy who worked for like the city that I got the shot at.
Okay.
So you got it from like a nurse or some.
I had like a pharmacist.
Okay, like a pharmacist. Yeah. Those are who were doing it. The president expanded it, so now it's like medical students. Okay, good. Okay. I like that. There was a couple of other dentists. Dentists and veterinarians can now give you the COVID-19 vaccine. Okay. Which, got to tell you, first of all, I think yes. I think we need to be as flexible as we can and go out there and, we need all hands on deck for this vaccination effort. Right. And so if you know how to safely operate like a needle, like I would have no idea what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
But like a veterinarian does, give shots. So right. Yeah, I support that. That's number one. Number two, you want to talk about an opportunity for dentists to rehabilitate their image. Right? Like think about how, what do you think is the approval rating of dentists right now?
Probably not too high. Well,
I would bet it's lower than doctors.
Yeah.
But because nobody likes going to the dentist. I know I don't like going to the dentist. And so, but if you get your COVID-19 vaccine from a dentist, isn't that going to be like, you know what, Dr. Brown? Yeah, he goes out there and he scrapes my teeth and he makes my mouth bleed, but also gave me the vaccine.
Yeah, he saved me.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that was my first thought. My first thought is like, man, what a win for dentists. like if I was a dentist, I would be like, come on in, get your teeth cleaned, and with every teeth cleaning, you get a free COVID-19 vaccine.
That's a good selling point. Sorry, I was distracted because I didn't know if you wanted to hear I'm a little weird.
Of course I do,
okay?
Josey.
I'm a little weird. So my fun dentist story, I know, like fun dentist story.
I just blacked out. I'm sorry, what?
Right. I actually fell asleep in the dentist chair as a child.
Like, what kind of sociopath are you?
I know. I apologized to the dentist when I woke up, and she was like, "Are you kidding me? That's like the best compliment anyone could ever pay me." And that's like my fun story I tell at virtual parties.
Like virtual parties. Those are the type of parties we're having right now. That is incredible. Like, I mean, I fell asleep when I fell asleep when I was getting my wisdom teeth out, but like that's by design.
Right. No, this was just, I was really tired. I refused the gas, and I was staring at the ceiling panels, making shapes out of them. And next thing I know, she's tapping me on the shoulder saying, "Hey, we're all done."
Yeah, you and I have very different dental experiences then, because let me tell you, when I go to the dentist, that is a white knuckle ride. I am not having it. This is the RYLACast. I promise you, we're not just talking about dentists or Lassie's doctor giving you the COVID-19 vaccine.
Or are we? Stay tuned.
We will talk with Kristen Helmberger coming up here at the back half of the show. But first, Josey has been commissioned to take over the first segment of the podcast. And so here with the first segment of the podcast, it's Josey.
Well, thank you, Greg. And when you tasked me with this task, I was a little nervous. Yeah. I looked far and wide for article ideas. And some friends of mine sent me over the name Alan McDonald. I don't know if that name rings a bell for you.
I'm not typing that into Google.
Well, before you type that into Google.
Oh, you mean Alan McDonald? Oh my gosh. You mean former QPR player Alan McDonald?
Not quite.
It's my favorite soccer team.
2 L's.
Well, that's no fun. That's less fun. I'm gonna zone out now. Go watch some Alan McDonald highlights on YouTube for my beloved QPR.
I'll let you know when we're back.
Okay.
And unfortunately, Alan McDonald passed away this past week at the ripe old age of 83. Alan McDonald is known as for lack of a better term, whistleblower engineer for the Challenger catastrophe in 1986.
Oh, I watched. There was a Netflix documentary or Netflix documentary series, and that's where I know that name. Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, I did not know the name, but that's where today's big article comes from. Is NPR, and I thought I'd bring this up because, Alan said no. Alan worked for Morton Thiokol, which was the engineering company that built those rocket boosters that took the space shuttle into space. And there are these little O-rings. I say little, they're probably really big, which is like a rubber gasket that would prevent the super bad explosive gas from leaving the fuel tank. And they had been known, those O-rings had been known to be a little bit brittle and frail at any temperature below 53 degrees.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, whenever it's cold, I remember, again, it's me, guy who watched a Netflix documentary series, so I know everything about the Challenger. But yeah, I seem to remember one of the big problems being that it was cold the day they launched.
Right. And so it was cold as in like 30 degrees cold, 23 degrees colder than the coldest they've ever seen these things operate. And it was Alan's job to basically say no to the launch. And when it came to that time, the night before, Alan signed a sheet of paper that said, "No, we're not doing this." Ultimately and unfortunately, he was overruled by managers at Morton Thiokol and NASA people in charge of the launch. And you would think, like, what a valiant effort for Alan to stand there and say, hey, this is unsafe. I know we got a lot riding on this launch, but I can't do this. I'm not going to do it. Well, then at a presidential commission investigating the catastrophe, someone said, hey, these Morton thiocol engineers said, hey, we're good to go. And old Alan was in the audience. I don't know if audience is the right term, but he raised his hand and said, no, sir, you have that incorrect. And so for a second time, stood up and basically said what was going on. So he was heralded as someone who really stood up for his values. And I think that brings up an interesting point when it comes to leadership related to ethics, that the likelihood of you or I stopping something like a space shuttle launch in our careers is not too likely.
Let me tell you, if it comes down to me, things have gone, we have run out of people.
Right. But I know in our previous episode or next episode, I don't know what order this is, the little peek behind the curtain, we're talking about thinking optimistically and thinking realistically. And on the one hand, you can say, well, what good did Alan McDonald do if the launch ultimately persisted? Well, what Alan McDonald did was then launch his career or continue. I mean, he was already working for the engineering firm or engineering company for 26 years before the launch. But then he just spoke vehemently about the importance of ethics in engineering. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important to have these real world examples, and especially as someone who lived from our circles in relative anonymity, whether he's a QPR, shares a name with a QPR player.
Sure. QPR legend.
QPR legend. Thank you. It's the importance of standing up for what is right. Mm-hmm. And one thing I know I'm going to get into your segment, but I'm going to say a quote that Alan McDonald or Al McDonald.
You better not take mine.
I'm not going to take yours. Okay. I hope I don't take yours. In this NPR article, someone said, what we should remember about Alan McDonald is he would often stress his laws of the 7 R's. And it was always, always do the right thing for the right reason at the right time with the right people, and you will have no regrets for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and I think that it kind of goes down to the fact that I think that leadership needs to be judged on process and not result. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
That great leaders are people who focus in on making sure they have the right kind of process, knowing that it will lead to good results more often than not. And sometimes that with Alan McDonald, I think that's a perfect example of a guy who had a good process. He did what he could. The fact that it did not result in him saving the day, so to speak, that is not an indictment on him. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You can only go so far. He went through his processes and came through and did what he believed was right. And the fact that it didn't work out is not on him. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of times we can look at a situation where with a leader and say, well, did they accomplish their goal or did they not? And if the answer is no, then the leadership was a failure. And if the answer is yes, then the leadership was a success. I think there are a lot of failures that happen despite the best efforts of the leader. And I also think there are a lot of successes that happen in spite of leadership. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's a good point.
And so that's an interesting parable, so to speak, is that you judge, and especially when you're dealing with something like ethics, so in leadership, you should be judged on your process and what you do there, and not necessarily on what it results in. So, shout out Alan McDonald, rest in peace. Right this week,
March 6th.
March 6th. Yes, a man who let's just say he did his best to practice ethical leadership, and the fact that it didn't work out should not necessarily be a pox on him. So there you go. Good job, Josey. That was very good.
Thanks. Thank you.
let's keep the good train going, and let's go live on tape to Los Angeles, where we talked with Kristen Helmberger. Here's our conversation with Kristen Helmberger here on the RYLACast. Back here on the RYLACast with our big special guests. We go live, and by live I mean on tape, to beautiful, sunny Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
Okay. To talk with our very special guest, we're joined by Kristen Helmberger. Hi, Kristen.
Woo!
Yeah. Like when I edit this, do you want me to edit in like applause?
Yeah, I want a crowd behind me. Ah, you know.
Do you want me to? I'll try to go find like the sitcom like
No,
sound.
not a laughing track. I don't want a laughing track.
Or like they could do like the whenever like two characters kiss on the sitcom, they go like, ooh. Maybe I'll find that one.
What sitcoms are you watching, Tepper?
I'm just saying, like, if you go watch like Boy Meets World.
Oh, that's fair. No, I see.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
That's
I got you.
Anyway, hi Kristen. How are you?
I'm doing great, Tepper. And it's funny because you said very sunny, but it's been raining. Well, it's sunny right now, but it's been raining all week. And we got a 10-minute hailstorm like 2 days ago. And it was the most wild thing I've ever seen. I haven't seen hail in forever. And it was literally only 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh. So we've brought you on for a number of reasons. First of all, because we need to class up this joint. And secondly, we'll start this because you are the second Helmberger we've had on the podcast. You are now that doesn't mean you're necessarily second ranked.
It's fine. It's whatever.
But we did have your sister Stephanie on in a past podcast. We'll start this conversation the way that we start all of these conversations, which is I'm going to ask you for your RYLA story, how you got involved, and what it is you would say you do here.
Okay. Well, my RYLA story starts back. Well, I guess before even camp, my dad's been involved with Rotary for forever, and he's always been involved with things in our community. So it wasn't anything weird or different that he was involved with Rotary. And I had two older siblings that went through camp, a sibling that was an alternate that never made it. And then when Stephanie and I applied, when we applied in 2011, she was selected to go for Farmersville, and our friend was also selected, and I was an alternate. Because Farmersville only did 2, and they usually sent a girl and a guy, but no guys applied, so they were sending 2 girls. So that's very interesting. I wasn't initially selected to go. And then I attended the Rotary meeting where Duff showed up and was talking about camp for everybody. And one thing led to another. And the student who had gone the year before us, he was like, "You both need to go," speaking to me and Stephanie. And I was like, cool, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do here. And I believe, from my understanding, Duffy told Farmersville that if they came up with the money, that a third spot would open up for me. And I ended up going, and it was awesome, per usual. And I was in Beth Anderson's cabin. I was in her first group. Yeah.
You're drawing a strong hand there out of the gate, you know.
Well, it was her first year as a counselor, and she was my counselor. Kevin Four and Steve Melton was my co-counselor. And as they say, the rest is confetti. I've been involved. I was in ACA the next year, and then have been on staff, so on and off, and then I was a counselor in training for the first time in 2019, and then I was a counselor for RYLA this past year. So,
okay, so you've been a mainstay in the RYLA organization basically ever since you were a camper, and so what? I mean, we mentioned that you're out in LA. Why are you in LA? For people who don't know, what's your deal?
I am a video editor for Mototrend Studios. So yes, Mototrend, like the magazine, we have the studio side of it where they do original content. But my department falls under the things that you see on social media. or on their website that's not their original TV show. I've been in LA for almost 4 years now, and I've been working with Motortrend, I believe, for about 2.5. But I make videos over cars, and it's so cool.
First and foremost, I should just state for the record, we're very pro magazine and print media on this podcast. This is everybody. Please buy print media, please. So there's job. And so you do this cool job doing social media video and things like that. We talk a lot about like the things that people take from RYLA and things people take from camp. Is there a way that you can describe for us that you would say you utilize the things that you took from RYLA in what you do today and in the big girl job that you have?
Yes, I will say RYLA, as the logo goes, step out of your comfort zone. Moving away from home, moving out of state is a really huge deal. And RYLA helped me, I guess, with the confidence and the risk to do that. It just like I had, let me see if I can clear this up. I had the support of RYLA, and in the sense of I could ask someone for advice on resumes, or like I've even John Warder is a content creator, and I asked him for advice on programs and how to apply for jobs, and he was out here. RYLA just helped me take that risk, gave me the confidence that I needed to be able to do this. I would say that's the biggest thing that RYLA gave me about my big girl job out here. So
then, you're somebody who, you're not down the street from RYLA. It's a bit of a haul for you if you and I wanted to meet in person right now, and we met halfway, it would be Arizona, probably. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
Arizona, New Mexico,
right.
Eastern. Yeah, we'll meet in Flagstaff. That's cool. We'll get a torta. But so. And for me, this was a personal situation for me, that when I went off to college, and I went to college out of state, that caused me to in some ways disconnect from RYLA. Obviously, that has not been the case for you. What is it that keeps you coming back?
The people, 100%. The environment too. Like we've all talked about it. Taking a week off and just disconnecting from the world and focusing on these students and these people who are our next leaders, and giving to them what was given to you. That is 100% a reason why I come back and why I dedicate time and effort to continue this program.
Okay, 2 more questions for you here. We're talking with Kristen Helmberger here on the RYLACast. It's called a reset. I want to ask you if you have something you would like to plug. That's something we do here on the RYLACast. If there's something that you think more people should know about, I'm going to leave that purposefully vague. What is your plug? Oh, why are you laughing?
Because you said what more people should know about, and then literally 5,000 things just jumped to my head, from TV shows to music to apps.
Okay, well, I'll give you 3. How about that?
Give me 3. Okay. This is a plug that people are going to know I'm going to do. To stream Women in Music Part 3 by Hayam. It's one of the best albums I've ever heard. It's a sister band, and they're local to LA. They're nominated for a Grammy, but their music is very raw, and it's talks about depression. Like one of them really suffers from depression. I feel like that's something that everyone can relate to. From this past year. So it's just a great rock album to mellow out to. Then my second one would be...
You've bullied your way into 3 plugs. I hope you know that.
I did. My second one would be therapy in general, whether it's able to go to therapy because of your insurance, trying out an app. I actually tried out talk space before I started seeing my therapist, which is a nice stepping stone. You can text or call your therapist, and it's less like scary if you're trying to break into the therapy world. Or I also follow a lot of Instagram accounts that are run by therapists, and they always like post little things. And I think those are just very clever reminders that it's nice to have in your daily life. And then my third one that I've bullied for after saying that people should go to therapy is I lost it.
Uh-oh. Into the ether.
I was gonna say like feeling your feelings, which I guess comes from my first two references of I have, and this is hilarious, and I've tweeted about it before, but I have a playlist called Songs to Sob in the Car To. And
I don't mean to laugh. I'm sorry. I hope you know I'm not laughing. I'm laughing at the title and the bluntness of the title and the beauty of the title, and not the idea of you crying in your car.
No, it's a way for me to feel my feelings, whether and I used to do this on the way home from work. Like if I just had a really tough day at work, or if things were going on and I just needed to let some feelings out, I have a playlist of songs that trigger me to cry, and just get a nice solid cry out on the way home. And, and then I feel better and I go about my day. It's mostly songs from musicals that, have a whole story with it. So then
I bet I can. Let me see if I can. Now, I've not seen this playlist. Playlist. So I'm flying blind here. I bet I can guess one, because I know there's one song that makes me cry every time.
Yeah.
It's a song from Up.
Oh, no. Well,
oh, my gosh.
Like musicals, Tepper. Like Broadway
so it has to have words.
Yeah, it has to have words. Like
the theme from Up, from the first 10 minutes of Up.
Sad. It's awful. It makes you cry. Feel your feelings,
Right. Yeah. If I ever need to do that, that's the one.
It's just a good, healthy cry, which, people should do more often to let their feelings out.
Boy, I don't know the last time I cried.
Yeah. And it's not even a sense like if I need to cry, it could be like if I'm frustrated or angry. And it's just a way to get emotions out. And then even like a lot of people who will be, the three people who are listening to this will probably guess that like there's a Hamilton song on there, Mamma Mia, Little Women, Wicked. I think no Cats though. Cats is not on this playlist. Actually, I think the main sad song from Cats is on there. Les Mis,
Okay.
Only
so
me and Stephanie listen to it.
So one last thing. I asked you for something that you think most people don't know. And that is, you include a couple of things here, which is very you, and I love you, I should say that. But you said that you would prefer to eat cereal for every meal. And I think that's a bold stance and a courageous stance to take. And now I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you for your top three cereals.
Oh, I talk about this every time. Honey Bunches of Oats, hands down, the original.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Did we just become best friends?
Yeah, Tepper, we're already best friends.
Okay, there's one.
So good. And it makes you feel, quote unquote, good about yourself when you're just eating cereal. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, because it's high key, just amazing. Wow,
we're 2 for 2.
So this third one changes. It can either, I'm just gonna pick one, and I think I'm gonna go with Cocoa Puffs.
Ooh, a little treat for you.
It's a little treat, and I love cereal, and I could eat it for the rest of my life, and that's just because I don't really care for cooking. So
that's tough but fair. It's hard to screw up cereal. I will throw as long as we're on the healthy cereal kick, I will throw Special K Red Berries in there.
I was gonna say the original Special K, like just the plain one is just it's really so good.
It is. It is.
I love it.
Cocoa Puffs are a treat, and it has been a treat to talk with Kristen Helmberger, our guest here on the RYLACast. Kristen, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Top.
our thanks once again to Kristen Helmberger out there in Los Angeles, City of Angels, Hollywood, for being our guest here on the RYLACast. Josey has actually not heard that interview, so
what?
Here with a fake here with a fake reaction to Kristen's interview is Josey.
Wow, that was really good. There were a lot of things that I didn't know in there, but also some things that I did. But I do want to thank Kristen for her time.
Yes,
and attention.
That was very very good. And so it's now my turn to wrap this bad boy up and to bring it home with the quote of the week. And our quote of the week, we are going to go to the idea of teachers. I mentioned off the top that my wife is a teacher. And I think that teachers have been in a very tough spot recently. This is I think that they've been put out there in difficult situations and in trying circumstances, trying to educate kids. I know I see it from my wife that, from the micro perspective, it is a lot more difficult to do her job today than it is to do than it was just in normal times. But there was but I think that in a lot of ways, as leaders, we are fundamentally teachers, and that's something that is a core principle of what we're about. And so I want to go to a quote from William Arthur Ward. He's actually a Texan, I believe. He had a column in the Fort Worth Star Telegram. He went to McMurray, which is in Abilene. And then he did some work at the University of Texas and what was the North Texas State University. He went to Texas Wesleyan. Oh, the Texan. In fact, I would need to see. I don't know off the top of my head if he was born in Texas, but he spent a lot of time in Texas. Anyway, he's an American motivational writer is how they describe him. But he has a good quote, which is, "A mediocre teacher tells, a good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires." And kind of going back to what you were talking about in our first segment about Alan McDonald and the value of ethical leadership and doing what you think is right. I think that is, I think in a lot of ways, what leadership's job is, and the mark of great leaders is to inspire people to be great leaders themselves. Where I don't want to say you teach people to put yourself out of work, but like in a lot of ways, your job is to be exponential as opposed to just doing your job and getting across the finish line. Your job is to grow more leaders and to inspire more leaders. And I think that that's a good way of thinking about it, which is that if you replace a teacher with leader in that example, right? Like a mediocre leader tells. It's like, yeah, okay. If I'm an okay leader, I can just tell you, hey, I need you to go do this. Okay, that's fine. A good leader explains, okay, yeah, you know what, I need you to go do this. Here's why I need you to go do this. The superior teacher demonstrates, okay, yeah, I can see that, and be like, this is why we need to do it. I'll show you how to do it. I need you to do this a certain way. But the great leader inspires in the sense that the people that you delegate understand fully what we're about and want to go out there and do it for their own, for the reasons that you have driven them to. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah.
And so I liked that quote a lot in the leadership sense. Also liked it in the teacher sense, and I shared it with my wife, and she liked it too. So there it is, your quote of the week.
Teacher
do you have
approved.
Do you have any final thoughts before I go to the outro?
The only final thought is William Arthur Ward, while in Fort Worth, served on the board of directors for Rotary.
No way.
According to Wikipedia.
Wow.
Which is never wrong. So there's our Rotarian tie-in.
You know what? Shout out me for backing into that one. That's the official, That's the RYLACast way, is backing into like surprise Rotary connections.
Right.
We did it. And that's going to do it for this episode of the RYLACast. We sure appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with us. And if you like this podcast, please rate and review it and tell a friend. And here with an antiquated way of telling a friend about the RYLACast is Josey.
Yes, go ahead. In school,
sure,
walk right up to that chalkboard and write, listen to the RYLACast.
Just over and over and over, though, like Bart Simpson in the intro.
Exactly. And
did you ever? You didn't ever have to? You were a good kid in school. You never had to do that. But I also feel like by the time we were in school, that was kind of an outdated form of detention.
Right. I'm trying to remember. I did get in trouble because someone, the vice principal in 6th or 7th grade, thought that I wrote my name on the grout in the boys' bathroom. And I'm
Did you?
Why would I write my own name to implicate myself?
Yeah, it's like you're signing your own warrant.
Right.
That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Josey, thanks for your courage. See you next time on the RYLACast.